started quietly. The sky was still dark over the cold waters of the North Pacific. Most people on the West Coast were asleep. But far out near the Aleutian Islands, something big was happening. A fleet of Russian warships had been moving silently through international waters for days. These ships included destroyers, submarines, and a large missile cruiser. They stayed hidden under cloud cover and used advanced technology to block radar systems. American satellites watching the area suddenly lost signal for a few minutes. It was just enough time for Russia to move in closer. At 4:35 a.m., the first missiles were launched. They weren't aimed at cities or people. They hit radar stations, communication towers, and naval bases near Dutch Harbor and Kodiak, Alaska. These were warning shots, but they were real. Several buildings were damaged, and 2 American Navy patrol ships were hit at sea. The U.S. Navy confirmed later that the attack was planned to create confusion and disable defenses quickly. By 6 a.m., the United States responded. Ships from Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, including the aircraft carrier USS Carl Vinson, were ordered to head toward Alaska. Submarines and destroyers from the West Coast, especially from San Diego, also began moving. All military ports were placed on high alert. This was no drill. Across the ocean, Russia's Pacific Fleet wasn't slowing down. Their submarines launched more missiles into the ocean not to hit targets, but to scatter sonar signals and confuse American underwater defenses. One Russian submarine was spotted 200 miles off the coast of Washington state. Disappeared shortly after under deep water at 9:15 a.m. The first real naval battle began near A2 Island, one of the last islands in Alaska's Aleutian chain. The American destroyer USS Preble came face-to-face with a Russian ship, the Marshal Ustinov. Both fired warning shots at first, but when the Russian ship moved closer, the Americans launched a missile. The Russian ship fired back. The ocean lit up with fire. The USS Preble was badly damaged. It didn't sink, but it had to pull back. The Russian ship was also hit hard and lost power. That battle lasted just 12 minutes, but it marked the first time American and Russian ships had exchanged fire directly in decades by the end of the day. August 12th, the situation was serious. American ports on the West Coast were shut down. Civilian ships were ordered to return to harbor. The U.S. Navy began sending drones, sonar ships, and helicopters to search for more Russian submarines. Russia's goal seemed clear: take control of key parts of the Pacific Ocean without starting a full-scale war, but they had gone too far. People across the country woke up to news of a major naval clash. Gas prices jumped, shipping companies canceled routes. The world held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The U.S. government had not yet declared war, but the seas between Alaska and Russia had become a battlefield. Both sides had taken damage, but neither had shown signs of stopping, as night fell on August 12th. The waters of the Pacific were no longer calm. The morning after the first clash, the tension on the Pacific Ocean had not eased. Instead, it had grown heavier. The sun rose slowly over the cold waves, but the mood aboard American and Russian ships was tense and alert. Both sides knew the fight was far from over. By 5 a.m., more American warships had arrived near the Aleutian Islands. The USS Carl Vinson aircraft carrier was leading a group of destroyers and cruisers. This was America's way of showing strength and trying to push the Russian forces back. But the Russians were prepared. Using their submarines hidden deep underwater, they launched another attack, this time with torpedoes aimed at American ships guarding the northern waters near Alaska. One of these torpedoes narrowly missed the USS Preble, which had managed to repair some damage from the day before. The alert crews quickly detected the incoming threat and countered it by deploying underwater drones designed to track and destroy enemy submarines. At the same time, Russian missile cruisers began launching long-range missiles toward American supply ships. These supply ships were crucial because they carried food, fuel, and ammunition to the frontline fleets. Several supply ships were hit, causing fires and forcing others to retreat to safer waters. By 10:30 a.m., the battle expanded. Further south, the USS Zumwalt, a modern and stealthy destroyer, was patrolling near the coast of Washington state. It detected several Russian submarines trying to sneak close to American shores. The Zumwalt launched anti-submarine missiles and dropped sonar buoys to track the enemy submarines. The Russians responded with a daring move. 2 nuclear-powered submarines surfaced unexpectedly near the coast of Oregon. They fired a salvo of cruise missiles aimed at naval bases and communication centers. In San Diego and Seattle, fortunately, American missile defense systems intercepted most of the missiles. But a few got through, causing minor damage to infrastructure and knocking out power in small areas. On land, emergency services worked through the day to repair the damage and assist affected civilians. Although no one was killed, the attacks created fear and uncertainty. People in coastal cities were told to stay alert and prepare for possible evacuations. Meanwhile, 2 navies continued to fight for control of the sea lanes, the shipping routes vital to global trade. Both sides knew that if they could block each other's access, it would cause serious economic damage by late afternoon. The battle reached a new level of intensity. The USS Carl Vinson launched its carrier-based aircraft to search for Russian ships and submarines. Fighter jets flew low over the water, looking for signs of enemy movement. The Russian fleet responded with surface-to-air missile batteries and fast-attack boats that darted across the waves trying to disrupt American air patrols. At 7:45 p.m., near the Aleutian Islands, once again, a major encounter took place. The USS Preble, despite its earlier damage, was escorting a group of supply ships when it was suddenly attacked by a Russian destroyer. Missiles were exchanged, and both sides suffered damage. The Russian destroyer lost its radar systems, and the USS Preble sustained further hull damage. Neither ship was sunk, but both were forced to withdraw for repairs. That night, as darkness covered the Pacific, both navies regrouped. The fighting had caused damage on both sides, but neither Russia nor the United States had gained a clear advantage. The seas had become a dangerous chessboard, each move carefully watched and countered. On shore, world leaders issued cautious statements. They warned that the conflict could escalate further, but neither side was willing to back down. Many people, it felt like the Cold War had returned, but now with modern weapons and technology, the next day promised more conflict. The naval battle was no longer a small skirmish. It was a full-scale fight for control of the Pacific Ocean. Both Russia and the United States had shown their power. But the cost was already high, and the war was far from over. As dawn broke over the Pacific Ocean, the mood aboard the ships of both fleets was heavy with anticipation. Neither side had gained a clear upper hand after 2 days of fighting, and both navies were bracing for what many believed would be a decisive day. The morning was quiet at first. Ships moved cautiously through the cold, foggy waters near the Aleutian Islands, each side watching the other carefully. Both fleets had suffered damage, but their crews worked tirelessly through the night repairing hulls, weapons systems, and communications gear. The Russians had towed their damaged Marshal Ustinov farther from the front lines, while the Americans pulled the USS Preble toward a nearby island for emergency repairs. At 7:30 a.m., the silence was broken by the drone of aircraft engines. The USS Carl Vinson launched dozens of fighter jets and reconnaissance planes to patrol the contested waters. Their mission was to locate Russian vessels and gather intelligence. Meanwhile, Russian anti-aircraft missile batteries scanned the skies ready to defend against any attacks. By 9 a.m., both navies had repositioned into tighter formations, prepared for a possible large-scale confrontation. Russian submarines remained submerged but active, using new underwater drones to seek out American vessels. The U.S. Navy increased the number of sonar buoys and dispatched more anti-submarine helicopters to patrol the area. Later that morning, the tension escalated when a Russian submarine was detected close to the American carrier group. The USS Zumwalt and accompanying destroyers quickly responded by launching a coordinated attack using depth charges and anti-submarine torpedoes. The battle beneath the waves was intense but unseen. After several tense hours, the submarine was forced to surface, sustaining damage but avoiding destruction. At the same time, missile exchanges between surface ships intensified. Both sides fired volleys of missiles, some intercepted, others landing with devastating effects. Russian missile. Cruisers targeted American supply vessels near Alaska, while American destroyers focused on disabling Russian command ships. Several smaller ships on both sides were hit or forced to retreat by 3 p.m. The battle shifted toward the eastern Pacific. Russian forces sent a fast attack group toward the waters off the coast of California. The USS Zumwalt and 2 other destroyers moved swiftly to intercept. After hours of cat-and-mouse maneuvers, the 2 sides exchanged missile fire, with both sides claiming successful hits, but neither suffering critical losses.